without too much bounce. Definitely hard to do. Hold her off. Welcome to the shop. Got the Eflite Super Timber. You saw the thumbnail, so you know what's going to happen in this video. But right now I'm going to talk to you a little bit about why the heck did I buy this plane? I bought this plane primarily because I wanted a large STOL plane that I could take the wings off, and it would just fit in my hangar of many, many planes. Had a lot of the great features I was looking for. So, you know, this is a super timber for sure. It checked all the boxes. In this video, I'm going to go over, like I always do, unbox it, kind of make some notes, assembly, and how it assembled. There were some issues along the assembly, and then go into the flight and Maiden. And I had some issues. There's no doubt about it. Working with Horizon Hobby on some of that stuff. But anyway, I'll go through all that, and then we'll go in the crash and kind of what took place, and you can just fast forward to it, whatever. Do me a favor, if you like the content, what I'm doing with these videos, hit that like button. Appreciate it. It helps me out a little bit. Stay tuned. Unboxing these large planes is somewhat unruly, but we'll make the best of it without trying to break anything. So, first off, we know what these are. We know, because we've watched enough videos, that these are those removable slats. Good finish, stickers, plastic points, parts, some carbon fiber reinforcing, ball linkages, big prop, a lot of tape all over it. Non-painted. I'm going to tape that off, and I'm going to paint it probably yellow, little yellow tips. So it's a big one. It's as big as my Corsair, as big as my Tiger Cat. Got a relatively decent sized hand, and that's pretty significant. Heard about it. Big honking lights. And those little removable jobbies, which we'll decide what we're going to do. Probably fly with them, because I typically enjoy flying more slow. So, wing looks really cool. Bicycle pump, or wheel pump, tire pump. Pretty cool. Anxious to play with those pneumatic tires. And here, oh, speaking of which, all right, pretty squishy, very squishy. It's a pretty beefy, robust soldered slash weld. This is not your typical timber. This is going to be significantly more beefy. I assume, oh, sorry about that. Landing gear pieces and parts, and pontoon or floats equipment for when I get some of that stuff. So some additional gear, which we'll have to work through that process. Not a problem. Again, should have grabbed a wide angle lens here. It is quite beefy. Everybody said the nice thing about it is, you know, the typical wear and tear you have on your favorite plane, where all the foam around the edges starts getting paint peeled and dented. These, that's all plastic. Got an interesting plastic tray that slides in. Got a XD90 connector, which unfortunately for me, I have to cut that off and put on a, I'm sorry, this is an EC5. I need to chop off and make a, or add on a XD90. So here is the wing spar, which pops out, which I'll play around with here in a minute. And that's it. Man, there's not much. That slides in, all plastic pieces, magnets, voila. It's hefty. Part of this system is very heavy, and I could tell it's going to be this whole landing gear area. It's not your typical thin plastic. I mean, there's some serious structure in there. This thing weighs quite a bit compared to my original timber. So now what I'm going to do is start assembling, looking through the manual a little bit, assembling. It looks like the hardest part of the assembly, or really the only part of the assembly that takes a little time, is going to be installing the landing gear. But frankly, it's probably not a big deal. So let's get on with it. So of course, Eflite does a great job of individually packing each set of screws for their tasks. So for example, these are these little landing gear screws that hold this on. Then you have another set of screws here, all ready to go. That's for the prop adapter, screwing that into the motor. What some of these other ones are, I don't know. I think this is another one for the landing gear. Landing gear looks like, there's just a couple sets of screws, some springs. Doesn't look overly complicated. Just follow the instructions and it shouldn't be a big deal. First thing we have are these little screws here, or I'm sorry, little bolts. Jeez, nuts. Those slide into this little spot right there. And then this screw is going to go in this hole here, very small hole. Jeepers. Doesn't want to go in very well, does it? Going to have to help it a little bit with screwing it in place. Okay. So this starts. That's in. Okay, now we're getting there. Now since that is locked in to that little plastic housing, it won't turn on you. So I'm just going to tighten that up. Not going to go crazy on the tightening quite yet. Screw it in place. Screw until you see just a little bit of it comes out. Comes out the other side of the nut there. It's a nylon nut, one of those kind that self-locking. We'll do the same thing on this one. Once you have the landing gears, as far as the mains screwed in place properly, now you're going to install these springs. And the springs, like I show here, I'm going to assemble the springs without screwing everything down. Once I get the springs and that wire all clicked together, now I'm going to screw that down into the fuselage. It's a lot simpler that way, at least it was for me. I tried several different ways, and this was the best way for me. Okay, let's install. Without breaking something. Hard to film it all. All right, this just slides onto the carbon fiber spar. Goes in. I'm going to make sure the carbon fiber spar is pushed all the way in. This can do the same process. So it's slide. Come on, slide in there. Line everything up and get that in there, but it doesn't want to go. So make sure you can see it's not pushed all the way. So I'm going to try this again. Rotating it. All right, now it's all the way. So now, the other one was fine, so we should be good. Yeah, now we're locking into place. I hear clicking, which means they're actually locked in place. Pull on it. We're good. That was simple. Now we just need to attach the ball link. And in fact, at some point I need that. That's done. All right, that's assembled. That's done. Attach the wings. That locks, that right there pulls the pin right up here. Or I'm sorry, down here there's a pin. And that right there makes it so this will slide into place. Directions, like I said, are very good. This is going to slide in. Let's hope it locks in place good. There we go. And then flip that pin like so and make sure it's pushed forward. Do the same thing to the other side. Here's where I ran into some trouble. The wing slid in and seated properly. They were both seated properly. I know on some of these, few folks said that the carbon fiber tube was a little long, therefore one of the wings wouldn't seat. I didn't have that problem. My situation was the pins that are inside the wing that lock the wing in place weren't lining up with the holes in the fuselage. So, little work with a little file to widen out those holes just ever so slightly. Got it so the pins would then go into those holes and lock in place. It was a 5-minute little deviation from plan. A little frustrating, but as a lot of this stuff, it's just modeling, not a big deal. Final touches. Install the prop adapter and reinstall the prop. And that takes about 5 seconds. All the screws are included. Then you go through, obviously, I'm going to set up my radio, set up my rates. I typically do, 3 rates, low, medium, high, little expo, so I can play around with it. Installed my XD90, and then did my typical thing I do for my battery tray, rip off the Velcro and put on my shelf liner. That battery tray is pretty interesting. Gives you some flexibility, and it holds the tire pump, which we'll go into more detail. Adding air to the tire. There's a little cap right here. Save that. That is one piece that is going to be a problem. Here you got your little pump, your needle. I'm going to wet this by sticking it in my mouth and then shoving it in this hole. And man, I have to really press hard to get it in. Now, when I pump, you'll hear air going into it. Don't know if you can hear that or not. But there's air going in. When I'm done, twist a little bit, pull that out. Really need to wet it a lot, I found, in order for it to slide through there. And there you go, pumped up. Or take this off, slide it in, and just let some air out, whichever way you want to go. But just, I know there was some confusion about it, want to clear that up. All right, control surfaces working. Got the slats on. Painted the prop tips. Couldn't just leave them. Couldn't just leave it not painted. So All right, gotta get her up, get her trimmed out.
I say second maiden flight because my first maiden flight, I had to add a ton of left aileron on the trim. Thought it was off. Talked to Adam at Model Aviator. We chatted about it, and I decided to retrim it. Maybe had to fiddle with the flaps or something. So here I go with my second maiden.
Wants to climb. Yeah. No, it definitely still wants to climb.
Mind you, all the control surfaces were perfectly straight and proper, just the way they should be.
And definitely wants to roll to the right. All right. Yeah.
I ended up adding about 42 clicks to the left to get it to fly level.
Okay. Got her trimmed, but boy, she required quite a bit. A little surprising. Put on a little landing flap, slow her down. Cut throttle. Just do a slow flyby. Alright, one thing I didn't check, maybe this is, again, I'm having issues with, that's a lot of adjustment and trim for the aileron. I think so, at least. It's quite a noticeable amount. Alright. Let's take off again, play some more.
Second flight, actually, it's more than that because I was flying the other day with it. They had to redo some things. Regardless, I'm still trying to get used to the plane. She does fly different than my Turbo Timber 1.5, the original version. Just a little different, a little heavier, a lot of power though, and a lot of fun. Just trying to get used to her though, and continue to tune center of gravity. I had to tweak a little bit more on the trim, and so on and so forth.
Let's do a little land here, see if I can do another 3-pointer without too much bounce. Definitely hard to do. Hold her off. can be done, but boy, you gotta.
I learned that if you're going to land this thing on hard surface, really a 3-point's the only way to do it. If you try to land on the mains, I'm sure there's some great pilots that can do it. I can't without bouncing all over.
A little bit. Kind of do some flat turns. Which I like to do.
Those nice, big, wide, flat turns like that are totally fine. You try to do it tighter, it's trouble.
Cross control inputs, fun.
Time remaining 1 minute.
Fun plane to fly. Full speed pass. Pushing the pack a little bit. Alright, let's bring her for landing. Full flat. Kind of just bring her in slow. Bounce a little bit. A little late on giving a bunch of elevator. Try to get her to plop down a little bit better on a 3-pointer. Not bad.
Got a few more flights in her, having some fun. Started pushing a little bit on some maneuvers, and I really enjoy, kicking the rudder and a little opposite aileron and turning the plane quick. Well, in this one, I screwed up totally and stalled her too low, didn't have enough room, and piled her in.
That whistling
You'll
sound is kind of cool. Well, got a little too confident with her. Damn it. Pushing that rudder too hard. That's too bad. That's too bad.
Damage report? Well, the landing gear plastic chunk ripped off. Bent a little bit. I've got it glued up. Prop is broken, and part of the fuselage, there was a crack in that. But gluing it back together, see what I could do. Talk to Horizon Hobby about the trimming and the warp issues, and they're willing to help me out a little bit. Let's go back to the shop, and I'll summarize everything I think about this plane.
Welcome back to the shop. So, to summarize this, a couple things. One is, as I said with the crash, I pushed that rudder, flying this plane like I might fly my 1.5, where I can just jam on that rudder and it doesn't have that stall characteristic. Talking to friends though, some of them have this plane already and have commented that that's a lot of trim. And I did have, it was noticeable trim to get this thing to fly level. So I think with needing to do something with the wing to make it fit, like I said, I couldn't lock this in place, so I had to do a little tweaking and filing. That might have been the reason why maybe this wing is warped. I couldn't tell. I've looked at it pretty closely. I can't tell why this thing won't trim without a massive amount of aileron input. Yes, checked and fiddled with the flaps. So I did all of that twice and still couldn't get it figured out. So let's talk about some of the features. One is just the power of this plane is awesome. I mean, I enjoyed flying this plane. I wish I could have got it trimmed out a little bit better. I was having a few issues while flying it, but most of this, look, it's on me. It's pilot error. Make no mistake. The squishy wheels are really cool, but frankly, because I fly off hard surface and not grass, I'm planning on replacing these with that big monster Super Series or the Wood Series timber, the 2.0. I'm going to take those wheels and put those on here and see if it helps a little bit on. I like to land on the mains. I like to cruise down my runway, do touch and goes and that kind of thing. And with these bouncy tires, as you saw, you really need to nail that 3-point. The landing gear is beastly. It's awesome. So many features of this plane: the removable slats, the removable wing, the way I can store it easier than my 1.5, frankly, because those wings don't come off. A lot of great features. The flight times are fantastic. This plane has so many pluses, and I'm looking forward to get everything worked out, working with Horizon on some of the stuff due to the fact that my wing was wonky and they're trying to help me out a few things. You know, it'll be repaired. I'll be making a heck of a lot more videos with this thing, so stay tuned on that. In the end here, you know, what I do is, who's this plane for? If you're at that level, right, you had the 1.5 and you really like it, but you know, it'd be nice to take those wings off. You want a little more power. You want a bigger airplane, because this thing is a monster, right? It is a big plane. Obviously, having that skill set that you can handle the speed, because you push that left stick forward and she scoots, man. She's a fast plane and very capable. Heavier, you know, from a wing load perspective, which got me in trouble also, you know, so there's some things there that keep note of. But this plane is not, I don't think, a beginner plane. This is somebody who knows how to fly, wants to push their planes a little bit, have fun with it. The STOL characteristics are great. I do recommend this plane. I'm looking forward to getting it back in the air, making some more videos on it and sharing with you. So anyway, again, thanks a lot for watching. If, again, you like what I'm doing, hit that like button. Appreciate it. Have a question, leave a comment. Thanks a lot. Have a great day.